All right, for some of you right now, the concept of working the opposite side is looking magical. And you're wondering, how in the world did that work? Or you're wondering, how come we're not treating my injured side? So let me take you a couple steps back of where we began. And I want to let you know that culturally, we're brought up one way to believe something, that if something's injured, and it's injured in a direction that we can't go into, we think that we need to treat into that direction to make it better. Let me give you an example. If you come in and you can't raise your arm up like this, we're kind of taught, well, let's stretch it out. Let's slowly do some work. Let's work it up until all of a sudden you go a little higher and a little higher. Well, in therapy, we're taught the same thing. And we might come in and we might move the joint around, your shoulder joint around, until we find the direction of restriction. And maybe we'll take our hands and we'll push into that direction of restriction. And that's our treatment. And that's what we're taught to do. Well, you know what? That's just a recipe, and it gets a result. What you need to be able to know and apply correctly is a scientific method. The scientific method is very simple. It says, take a pretest, see where you're at, do a treatment, then take a post-test to see if it got better, worse, or unchanged. But then it says, compare it to something else. It's the compare people forget about. So if somebody came along and said, we're going to do it this way, and nobody looked otherwise, okay? So let me give you an example. You come in, you can't go like this. So I say to you, okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and do some motions. We're going to do 2 to 3 sets. 2 to 3 sets of maybe 15 reps. All right, when we get done, we're going to post-test to see if it made us better. If it did, we can keep doing it. Majority of the time, we find now, after doing this on thousands of patients, that going into the direction of restriction works the least effectively, and it's the slowest healing one. But let me tell you what we did next. We said, okay, well, wait a second. There's other directions of motion. We go backwards, we go out to the side, we go side across, we could rotate it, we could rotate it again. What if we did the next most restricted somebody would do? That's what we were taught. Oh, maybe it's another most restricted. All right, but instead what we said, why don't we go into the position of ease? And we find out that this is easier. We like doing it. So we go into the position of ease, and then we retest it. And we're like, holy cow, that was so much better. And we said, wait a second, what if we go into the third least restricted or the third most restricted? What is the result does it have? And after doing it on thousands of patients, what we found was the direction of motion into the restriction was the least effective. Typically, the most effective was going into the position of ease. But I'm saying to you, don't take our word for it. Try it out on yourself. And then all of a sudden we said, I wonder what would happen, because the spine is the center. What if we went over to the other side of the body? Thinking of it kind of like a teeter-totter. If it can't go up on this side, maybe if we take it up on this way, we'll realign the spine, and maybe that'll work. And what we did is we went into, so if they couldn't go this way on that side, we tested going into reps on this side. And lo and behold, it worked phenomenally. Now, we tested going into other directions on this, right? But what we found was, holy cow, and what made it so simple, just go into the direction they can't do over here, and it works. And we tested this on several thousand patients. And before long, and this is what we test. We do 3 tests. We test them into the direction of restriction. We test them to the easier side that was on the bad side. So we do the bad side in the direction they didn't like going into. We did the bad side going into the direction they liked to go into. And we got results for each of those. And we tested it going over into the opposite side and got the result. And after doing that, and doing that same thing on everybody, we then realize, hey, we're going to just start on the opposite side. It seems to work the fastest. Don't take our word for it, though, right now. You're new to it. You haven't seen this happen. You're used to only treating to the injured side. We'll start exploring. And then you'll see in a little later on that we're going to tell you, find other asymmetries in your body, and you're going to find out that you've got 3 opposites. You've got the left to right opposite. You've got a top to bottom opposite. So the opposite of this shoulder is this hip. Okay, and then you've got a diagonal opposite because you're a 3-dimensional creature, and I don't want to get too much into all that. But you're going to find that putting your legs back in symmetry will help your shoulder. And putting fixing your knee may get changed by doing trunk rotations. So it's really about finding asymmetries, and then you begin where you want to. If you'd like to begin on the injured direction, fine. If you'd like to begin on the free and easier direction of motion, great. But you're going to get eventually probably to the same place we got, which was start at the easier, and then we can begin perhaps coming back to when it's the harder side, and maybe that'll help too. There's lots more rules that we will show you as you go along, but I wanted to give that just to catch you up with where we're at mentally and where we came from. I hope you enjoyed it.